let's dive into the core issue freelancers face when working with agency partners. While agency partnerships can provide a steady stream of work and diversify your revenue streams, relying on them exclusively can create significant challenges. Over the years, I've seen some freelancers fall into a trap. They will work exclusively with agencies rather than directly finding and working with clients. Essentially, this makes them contract employees for the agency, white labeling their services rather than being independent freelancers or business owners. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Some freelancers will prefer this route. However, it can open them up to a host of potential issues they might not think about until it's too late. Now, for those of you who haven't heard the term white labeling before, this basically refers to the practice where a freelancer or small studio provides their services to a larger design agency, and then the agency sells these services under its own brand name as if they produced the work internally. In this type of arrangement, the freelancer involved remains hidden from the end client, and all credit and branding are attributed to the design agency. In some cases, the freelancer will even act as though they are a member or an employee of the agency itself, sometimes even having their own email address associated with the agency. As I said, for some, this might be the perfect offering, and agencies might be their target clients. The problem is that being solely reliant on this one client base can quickly turn sour for the freelancer. This lack of direct client interaction leads to several problems. Number one, lower rates. Agencies might negotiate lower rates for your services as well as tack on their own cushion in order to make profit off of your own work. Number two, limited creative control. Working under an agency can easily turn you into a yes person, basically not allowing you to dictate ideas or art direction, basically making you into an order taker. Number three, limited portfolio. Over 50% of the time, you may not be able to share the work that you create. Number four, no relationships. You're not developing any of your own relationships with the client, especially if you are behind the scenes and not actually engaging with them. Number five, I believe it, no testimonials. You're not getting testimonials directly from the client. And number six, no referrals. And this is a very big one. No referrals are coming from that work that you can't show or talk about. Now, so while an agency partnership can be a valuable part of a business strategy for freelancers, they shouldn't be your sole focus. Diversifying your client base is crucial to protecting your freelance business and ensuring long-term stability. Now, understanding this problem is the first step towards finding a solution. So let me share with you a personal story that kind of illustrates the importance of balancing agency partnerships within your business strategy. When I first opened my freelance business under Blue Cyclops, I was working with a range of different clients, both directly and indirectly. Over the first few years, I had a few agency partners who needed my help filling their need for an illustrator on some pretty big projects. Now, at the time, I was strictly doing illustration work, so it made perfect sense to partner with them. A lot of agencies back then, and even today, don't have in-house illustrators, and so they need that kind of gap filled with external talent. The same can be said for animators, photographers, videographers, and many other instances. Now, in most cases, I was white labeling my services. At the time, and even now, many of the larger agencies I worked with had gaping holes in their services that they needed to fill with freelancers and contractors. In my case, illustration was a major service that they needed. Most agencies, and most of these were web agencies, didn't see the use of hiring a full-time illustrator when they could just use freelance talent. So I ended up working for some major titans in the startup world: Google, Microsoft, Facebook, QuickBooks, Adobe, Qualcomm, and there are quite a few others, but these are the only ones that I can really talk about due to NDAs. Now, it seemed like a dream come true, to work on so many amazing projects for these tech giants. However, I quickly realized that there was a major snag breaching the horizon. I came to realize that over half of the time, I wasn't able to share the work that I was creating, which was honestly a major issue since the work I shared was my biggest way of bringing in new work or gaining referrals. Additionally, I wasn't able to develop my own relationships with these startups, which also meant that no testimonials or other forms of social proof were coming through on my side. There were many instances where I would even talk to people working at these organizations and say, "Oh yeah, I did some work with your company a couple of years ago," or "Oh yeah, I worked on this project with so and so's team," and they're like, "Wait, you worked on that? Wait, who did you work with?" And a lot of times it was because I was working through agency partners that they didn't know who I was. Now, this was a major drawback for myself and my business. It made me question, what if tomorrow agency A went out of business? What if next week agency B ghosted me or no longer needed me? What if agency C was fired and my name was associated with them, forever blacklisting me within that organization and others? It wasn't until 2019, a full 3 years into Blue Cyclops, that I came to this realization. After that, I began rethinking my strategy for partnering with agencies and making sure that I wasn't putting all of my eggs in one basket. Now that you've heard how relying too heavily on agency partnerships can create significant challenges, let's kind of talk about how you can balance these partnerships within your freelance business strategy. In my case, my solution was to develop a system for working with agency partners that allowed me to negotiate effectively with them while protecting my own business interests. The system I created wasn't perfect, and in some cases, it even lost me not only projects, but agency partners altogether. What it did, though, was it saved me from making some of my previous mistakes. Now, before I agreed to working on a project, I always had a meeting with the agency to talk through the details of scope. And during these meetings, I always asked a ton of questions, targeted questions to help me understand how the engagement would work, plus, if I needed to, increase my price point. I'd ask them questions like, can I share this work via my website and social media after it goes live? Basically, giving them credit as the agency of record. And if they said no, then I would add a 25 to 50% fee onto the project that I referred to as an NDA fee. Since I wouldn't be able to market my services with that work, I needed to get paid more for the work. Now, in many instances, they were fine with this. A lot of agencies were completely understandable when it came to this type of fee. A lot of times it wasn't that they didn't want me to share the work. It was that no one could share the work, that the startup wanted it to seem like it was all done internal. And so they didn't want anyone to be able to share it or take credit for the work. Completely understandable. And in those cases, the agencies were perfectly fine with increasing my fee based on that information. Another question I would commonly ask during these meetings was, will I be working as an independent freelancer or part of the team? With the latter meaning, would I be white labeling my services so the agency client believed I was directly employed with them? Now, these actions based on the questions weren't generally client facing or agency facing in some cases, or at least the answers or the actions that went after wouldn't be agency or client facing. I was making these decisions during the scoping and proposal phase. So a lot of times they did not know that I was adding on an NDA fee, or they didn't know that I was adding a white labeling fee. And that's perfectly fine. It is up to you to decide how much you charge and how you scope out work. Now, in some cases, if my agency partner asked why the cost was higher than usual, I would explain to him that because I can't share the work or say I did work for X company, then I would need to increase my usual fee to compensate for that. And I'd share that the main way for me to gain more work is through sharing work that I do for clients. Now, for you, I don't know your exact situation. So things might look a little bit different. If you're not getting enough work and an agency partner or multiple partners is helping you during your famine cycle, it's totally okay to let things slide once or even twice at the start of any type of agency partnership. However, it is very important to communicate the slippage to your agency partner. For example, you could say something like, normally I will add an extra 25% to the project cost if I can't share the final work once it goes live. However, since this is our first time working together, I'll waive that additional cost this time alone, so that to show you good faith and to show you hopefully the beginning of a great partnership together. By sharing this, you're showing them that you are willing to be flexible. You know, at the end of the day, they need to make their margin on your work, but it also shows them that you won't allow them to walk all over you. The bigger solution, though, is to focus on building your own client list rather than relying solely on agency partners. When you work directly with clients rather than through an agency partner or middleman for that matter, you set yourself up for several benefits. And here's actually a list of some of those benefits. Number one, building relationships. You're building relationships with the stakeholders and decision makers at the organization. Number two, showcasing your work. You're more likely to be able to share your work once it goes live. Now, sometimes projects take 1 year or even 2 years to go live, but at the end of the day, you're still able to show that work when it goes live. Number three, gaining testimonials. You're more likely to get testimonials directly from stakeholders, which is very important. Those job titles matter, especially when you're adding them to your website. Number four, you're receiving referrals. The best part is that they will refer you to their network. And as they grow, as they expand their career and they go to other companies, they're going to most likely bring you with them. And number, I believe this is what, five or six, bigger budgets. You're more likely to work with much bigger budgets as no one is trying to make their margins off of your work. And so you're able to get the full breadth of the budget for yourself, for that particular skill set, project, engagement, whatever. Now, there are many reasons to work directly with clients, but that could easily be a whole other episode onto itself. The key takeaway here is to not put all your eggs in one basket. Please, people, remember this. Diversify your client base and protect your freelance business from the potential pitfalls of relying solely on agency partnerships. So as we wrap up today's discussion on balancing agency partnerships, freelancing, and white labeling, let's turn our insights into immediate action. Here are 3 actionable tips that you can utilize right now to start transforming how you partner with agencies. Number 1, develop your own system for working with agency partners. Don't just take what agencies bring you at face value, whether you want to work as an independent or white label your services for your agency partners. Having a clear strategy in place, a clear system, is very crucial. This system should include how you negotiate terms, what questions you ask, when you might increase your rates, and even when you should say no, which is very important. We should be saying no some of the time. We shouldn't say yes to every single project that hits our plate. Action item number 2, create a referral system with your agency partners. Most agencies can't take on smaller projects below their minimum level of engagement, so they're constantly sending work to other agencies and freelancers. So ask your agency partner if they would be willing to send this work your way for a 5 to 10% finder's fee. You figure out that percentage point. Sometimes they'll have a set fee that they usually have with this, but if they don't, you kind of come up with that number and you can kind of anchor it. I would say go for the lower amount, go for 5%, just to give yourself a little bit more margin on your side. Now, this can help you build a steady stream of smaller projects and expand your client base. It also helps to grow your relationship with them when they're making money off of you for just a simple introduction. And then action item number 3, don't rely solely on agency partners. Always look for new clients and projects. Create your own lead generation system to help you find more work. Like I've said in the past, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify your client base is essential for long-term stability and growth. By following these action items now, you will not only gain valuable systems to grow your freelance business, but also allow you to make informed decisions overall. And as we close out today's episode on balancing agency partnerships, freelancing, and white labeling, I hope you found it both insightful and inspiring. We've explored how to position yourself with agency partners, the importance of diversifying your client base, and actionable steps to ensure your freelance business remains robust and adaptable. Now, remember, while agency partnerships can be a valuable part of your business strategy, as I mentioned in previous episodes, they shouldn't be your sole focus. By developing a clear system for working with agency partners, creating a referral system, and constantly seeking new clients and projects, you can ensure long-term stability and growth for your freelance business. If you're interested in learning more about how to grow your freelance business with stories, tips, and even cheat codes, like what you've heard in today's episode, be sure to sign up for my free bi-weekly newsletter at greencyclops.com. Sign up today and you'll receive 2 free gifts in your welcome email. Remember to stay passionate, stay positive, and stay creative. Until next time, keep breaking barriers and pushing boundaries in your freelance business. That's it for me, guys. Have a great day. Bye.